Hey, future officers, welcome back for another deep dive into current affairs. This time we're going to be talking about something that's kind of a legal phantom. You might think it's gone, but still hanging around, causing a bit of trouble. And we're talking about adultery in India.
Yeah, that's right. It's one of those topics that sounds like a relic of the past, right? Especially after that big Supreme Court ruling back in 2018.
Right, exactly. But for anyone aiming to crack the UPSC, this topic is absolutely essential.
Oh, it
Because it's got it
exists.
all: law, society, gender, equality.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's especially relevant for those mains
For
exams.
sure. So today we're diving deep into this whole adultery thing. And our main source is a recent piece from the Indian Express.
Okay, great. Let's jump right in.
So here's the situation. Adultery is not a crime anymore in India,
Nope, not since 2018.
but it still has legal weight in some situations.
Yeah, it's a bit of a paradox, right?
It is. So let's go back to 2018 for a second. You know that Joseph Shine case? That's when the Supreme Court decriminalized adultery. What was the reasoning behind that decision?
Well, the court basically said that the old law, Section 497 of the Indian Penal Code, treated women like property.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was seen as super discriminatory, like women didn't have the right to make their own choices.
That makes sense.
Right? And they also struck down Section 198 of the Criminal Procedure Code, which further kind of cemented that bias.
So this was a big step towards gender equality.
Absolutely. It was a major shift in how the law viewed women in marriages.
Okay, so no more jail time for adultery. Got it. But you said it still matters legally. How so?
Well, think about divorce. Both the Hindu Marriage Act and the Special Marriage Act still lift adultery as grounds for divorce.
Oh, interesting. So even though it's not a crime, it can still impact a divorce case.
Exactly. The term adultery might not be used directly, but the concept is definitely there.
Okay, I see. So let's say someone wants to use adultery as a reason for divorce. What kind of proof do they need?
It's not as simple as just saying, hey, my partner cheated on me.
Yeah, I figure there has to be some kind of evidence, right?
Right. The courts need to see evidence of sexual intercourse.
Really? So like emotional infidelity or a love affair wouldn't be enough?
Not in the eyes of the law. To prove adultery, you need to show that there was actual physical intimacy.
Wow, that's interesting. So even though we've moved away from criminalizing adultery, the legal system is still focused on that physical act.
Yeah, it shows how the law sometimes lags behind changing social norms.
I see.
There was actually a case in the Delhi High Court back in '82. A husband was found in bed with a minor girl.
Oh my gosh.
Sounds pretty bad, right? But the court didn't grant a divorce because there was no proof of sexual intercourse.
Wow.
They even referenced rating on divorce to support their decision.
Hold on, rating on divorce. I'm not familiar with that. What is it?
It's like the Bible of divorce law in a lot of Commonwealth countries, including India. Judges use it all the time to help them interpret the law.
Oh, okay. So it's a pretty important legal text.
Yeah, definitely. And it shows just how important that physical aspect is to the legal definition of adultery in India.
So even though adultery decriminalized, the legal system is still pretty specific about what it means.
Exactly. And it raises some questions about how the law views relationships in modern India.
Right, because on the one hand, we have this progressive step of decriminalizing adultery.
Right, recognizing individual freedom.
But then the requirement of proving sexual intercourse kind of suggests that traditional values are still at play.
Yeah, it's like a balancing act between individual freedom and traditional morality.
Interesting. So it's not a black and white issue.
Nope, not at all. And this legal back and forth has real-life consequences for people.
Absolutely. I imagine there are tons of cases that could help us understand this better.
Oh, for sure. There's one that comes to mind, a recent ruling from the Madhya Pradesh High Court.
Oh, what happened?
So a husband was trying to avoid paying maintenance to his wife. He claimed she was in an adulterous relationship.
I see. And what did the court say?
The court actually upheld the maintenance order because there was no proof of sexual intercourse. Yep, they said that just having a love affair isn't enough to deny someone financial support.
So that makes sense. It wouldn't be fair to punish someone based on an accusation without any solid evidence.
Exactly. The court was basically saying, look, you need hard proof to make those kinds of claims.
If we recap, we've got adultery decriminalized, but still a factor in divorce. And even then, you need proof of sexual intercourse.
Right.
But wait, there's a twist, right?
Always a twist.
Because this is deep dive.
Exactly. And this one's especially important for anyone thinking about a career in the armed forces.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued.
Remember that 2018 Supreme Court ruling we talked about? The one that decriminalized adultery? Well, it doesn't apply to the Army, Navy, or Air Force.
Wait, what? Seriously?
Yep. Adultery is still a punishable offense for those serving in the military.
But how is that possible? Does the military have its own separate legal system or something?
Not exactly, but Article 33 of the Constitution gives Parliament the power to make special laws for the armed forces, even if those laws restrict certain fundamental rights.
Oh, wow. So the government basically said, we need different rules for the military to maintain order and discipline.
Pretty much. And it makes you wonder, is this exception justified, or is it something that might be challenged in the future? What do you think?
That's a really good question. It's a tough one because, on the one hand, I can see the need for strict rules in the military,
Right.
but on the other hand, should different citizens have different rights in a democracy? It's definitely something to think about.
Absolutely. It's a great example of how complex these legal issues can be. Yeah, it really highlights how law is kind of a living, breathing thing. It changes and adapts along with society.
Totally. So let's do a quick recap for everyone listening just to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay. So adultery is not a crime in India anymore,
Right, decriminalized back in 2018.
but it can still be used as a reason for divorce.
Yes, but you need that solid proof of sexual intercourse.
Right, exactly. And then, of course, there's that exception for the armed forces where it's still a punishable offense. It's a lot to keep track of.
It is, but it's a perfect example of how law evolves gradually. We see progress towards gender equality with decriminalization, but the way adultery is treated in civil cases and in the military shows that there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, like the legal system's trying to catch up with social norms, but it's not always a smooth process.
Exactly. And for those of you preparing for the UPSC, this is why it's so important to stay up to date on these changes. You need to be able to analyze them, understand both sides of the argument, and form your own informed opinions.
Absolutely. It's not just about memorizing facts, it's about understanding the why behind the law, the historical context, and the potential impact on different parts of society.
Right. Think of it this way. Every legal case, every judgment, every debate, it all adds to this big story of social change in India.
That's a really good point. So how can our listeners use all of this to help them prepare for the UPSC? What are some tips or strategies they can use?
Well, I'd say the most important thing is to remember that this topic is multidimensional. It's not just about law, it's about social implications, gender dynamics, the potential for future changes. And here's a pro tip. Pay attention to those dissenting judgments.
Dissenting judgments.
You know those times when a judge disagrees with the majority opinion?
Oh, right, right.
Those dissenting voices often highlight the areas where the law might be challenged in the future.
That's a really good tip. I never thought of it that way.
It's gold for developing your own well-rounded perspectives. And remember, the UPSC isn't looking for robots who can just repeat facts. They want critical thinkers who can analyze situations and present strong arguments.
Exactly. They want people who can see the big picture.
Right, and don't forget about the human element. Law is all about people, their relationships, and how they navigate life within a legal system.
Okay, so listeners, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on all of this? What parts of this topic do you find most challenging? Let us know in the comments below.
We love hearing your insights, and it helps us create content that's relevant to you.
So true. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more UPSC-focused deep dives, just like this one.
We're here to help you make sense of the world of current affairs and give you the knowledge you need to ace that exam.
Right, we're in this together. And if you have any questions or specific queries, just leave a comment below. We always make time to engage with our amazing community.
Always.
And remember, this deep dive was inspired by a recent piece in the Indian Express.
Yes, definitely check it out if you want to explore this topic even further.
All right, before we sign off, let's leave everyone with one final thought to chew on. We've talked about how the laws around adultery in India are this mix of old and new, right? It shows how social norms are changing, but the legal system is still catching up.
And even though things are evolving, the one thing that stays the same is the complexity of human relationships.
So true.
Yeah, it's a constant process of change and adaptation, isn't it?
It really is. And for anyone prepping for the UPSC, this is a gold mine of a topic.
Oh, absolutely. It touches upon so many different areas: law, ethics, societal change.
Okay, so before we wrap things up, let's quickly remind our listeners where they can find the article we've been discussing.
Sure, we've been drawing a lot of insights from a recent piece in the Indian Express.
Yep, so if you want a more in-depth look at this topic, definitely check it out.
And of course, don't forget to subscribe, and leave a comment below.
Yes, we love hearing from you, and it really helps us tailor these deep dives to your needs.
Absolutely. We're all in this UPSC journey together, so let's share our thoughts and help each other out.
Okay, so let's leave our listeners with a final thought to ponder. We've been exploring this idea of adultery in India, and it's been quite a journey, right?
It has. We've seen how it's gone from being a criminal offense to something that still has implications in civil law, especially with divorce.
Right, and then there's that interesting exception for the armed forces, which adds a whole other layer of complexity.
Yeah, it really highlights the delicate balance between individual freedom, societal expectations, and the legal system that tries to hold it all together.
It's a reminder that even as laws change and evolve, the complexities of human relationships remain a constant source of debate and interpretation.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder these complexities.
Keep those minds sharp, stay curious, and keep striving for that UPSC dream.
Until next time, happy studying, everyone.
Bye for now.